Please join me in a loud and thunderous applause to welcome Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Aloha, fellow service members, veterans, families, and leaders from the community. It's wonderful to be here to observe and celebrate Veterans Day with all of you. You know, one of the things that I have grown to appreciate more and more every year that I've had the privilege of wearing this uniform is that unbelievable and unbreakable bond that exists between the shared experiences that we have, existing not only amongst those who we serve physically shoulder to shoulder with, but amongst those of us who have worn the uniform spanning different generations and different conflicts. Just last week, I was here marching in the Hilo Veterans Day Parade, and for the second time had the privilege of meeting Lieutenant Walter Hughes, who is here with us today and giving us the opportunity to honor him and thank him for his service. He was a bomber pilot during World War II. I believe you're 94 years old now, is that right? The first time I walked in the Hilo Veterans Day Parade, I met Walter and saw him again last Saturday, and boy, he looked sharp in his dress uniform, the very same dress uniform that he wore back after World War II. It was a privilege to be able to salute you, sir, and to be able to talk about your service and the example that you've set for all of us. It is this connection that I am so grateful for, that someone in my shoes could connect even for a moment with you. This is the first uniform that I got as an officer. I am hoping to follow in your example and stay in shape and not allow the years to get to me as you have done so successfully. I also had a chance to visit with veterans from the Hawaii Island Veterans Court, as well as Judge Nishimura, right? Judge Nakamura, sorry, who is leading that program. And, you know, I had never met these guys before. They appeared to be mostly post 9/11 veterans, but immediately there was a connection there. And a few of them said, "Oh, Tulsi, forget the Congresswoman stuff." They said, "Tulsi, I've really wanted to meet you for a while." And we had a chance to talk story for a few minutes. And even though our lives had taken different paths, they were there and we were brothers and sisters in arms. Yesterday, I spent some time with my congressional staff at the U.S. Vets facility in Honolulu, where they house homeless veterans. They provide temporary transitional housing as well as permanent housing for veterans from all different generations, and had a chance to visit with some of those veterans and hear their stories there as well. I met a gentleman named Mr. Ego, who served during World War II and is one of the Nisei veterans who served alongside people like Senator Daniel K. Inouye. We were opening a memorial display at the Honolulu International Airport. If you walk through the Inter-Island Terminal, keep an eye out for it, because it's a very special memorial telling the story of our Nisei veterans as the attack on Pearl Harbor happened and what proceeded the years following. But when I met him, we shared a moment, and he told me something that I'll never forget. He shared how proud he is of the service that I am doing my best to provide for Hawaii and our country. And he said, "Tulsi, this is what we fought for in World War II. This is why you make me proud." That connection is something that is hard to describe, but is what is so special about this brotherhood that we share. Lastly, I'd like to share just a few words about one of your own Hawaii Island veterans, Vietnam veteran Roy Hall. I don't know if Edie is here today, but I know that some friends of theirs are here. I had not met Roy or Edie until relatively recently. I met Edie, but I was in Washington. This was last month, I believe, when I got a call from a mutual friend saying, you know, Roy has been going through some challenges. He's very sick and he doesn't have much longer to live. It'd mean a lot if you gave him a call. As soon as we were done with our congressional session, our voting session that day, I grabbed my phone and called him, and we spoke for about 30 minutes. I could tell through his voice that he didn't have much longer among us, but the words that he shared were powerful. He shared some of the pain that he had been struggling with for decades, recurring nightmares about the atrocities that he experienced through his service in Vietnam, and how his wish for me, his directive for me, was to do everything that I could to take care of our brothers and sisters, to take care of our veterans, to make sure that they got better care from the VA than he had received, and to make sure that our country does not make the same mistakes that had been made in the past again, for our country's sake and for our veterans' sake. And what got me was at the end of the call, he was thanking me for taking the time to listen to him, when in fact I thanked him for his service, for his courage, and for his resilience through everything. It is these veterans, our brothers and sisters through generations, that we celebrate Veterans Day for. We all have different stories, different backgrounds, different experiences, but we come together at least one day a year as one family, recognizing that the values that we share and that we've served for and fought for at different times in our country's history remain strong. And we stand resolute with an amazing community that honors all of you and your service. I'm going off script a little bit because Colonel Dawson stole half of my speech. Unknowingly. I was going to get into the history of Veterans Day, but he covered that, so I won't repeat it.
I'll do push-ups, man.
When we remember our veterans, it's important for us to remember the immeasurable debt that is owed to you, to our veterans and to our families, a debt that is impossible to fully repay, but it's a debt that is essential for us to always remember, to never forget the true cost of war and who carries the burden of that cost, not just with the visible or physical wounds that may be inflicted, but the invisible wounds and other things that stick with you for decades to come. As veterans and as service members, as warriors, it is our job to salute the flag, to always place the mission first, to never accept defeat, to never quit, and to never leave a fallen comrade. Never. Whether it's over there or it's over here. As brothers and sisters, no matter where we are, we close ranks around each other, and as a community and as a country, it is essential that we do the same. These warrior ethos for us that have been ingrained in our very being never leave us, even after the uniform is laid down. The great contributions that you've made and that others continue to make and future generations will continue to make create a great responsibility for our nation's leaders to honor your service and sacrifice through the decisions that they make, both with our country's policies and with how you are honored. Making sure that our troops are not sent into harm's way with missions that are unclear or objectives that are unknown or objectives that don't best serve our country's national interest. Unfortunately, at this time in our country, unlike previous generations, we have far fewer people who have ever worn the uniform, who have ever experienced in a first-hand perspective what it means to serve, what it means to make that commitment, to sacrifice everything if need be. But whether they've experienced firsthand what it means to serve in war or in conflict, or not, it's important that all understand that our troops and veterans' willingness to sacrifice everything cannot be taken lightly. It must be honored. As we've just finished another election, I think it's appropriate for us to acknowledge that elections come and go, and the results of these elections matter, but there are some things that should never change, no matter what those outcomes are. Our nation's responsibility to honor our veterans is one of those things, ensuring that you get the respect that you deserve, that you get the care and services that you have earned, and that you and your loved ones are recognized for the sacrifices that you've made. These are responsibilities, awesome responsibilities, that I take to heart and that I carry with me every day in the work that I do for you as veterans, for our state, and for our country in Washington. Because as a fellow veteran, your pain is my pain. Your frustration is my frustration. Your challenges are my challenges, and your joy is my joy. I stand with you angered when I see people in positions of power who put partisan politics before doing what's right for our country. When we hear leaders debating about whether or not to put quote-unquote boots on the ground, oftentimes using the term lightly without considering whose feet wear those boots, or even knowing what boots on the ground even means. Like you, I'm angered at haunting reports of our fellow veterans who've had their bonuses clawed back that they were provided and given in good faith during their service, with many of them having their credit and their lives devastated in the process. It's no wonder that people are frustrated and discouraged with where we are. We face many challenges now, and we have challenges that lie ahead of us. There's no disagreeing on that. But with all challenges, we have the opportunity to see and choose opportunity, to bring about positive change. And this is where our veterans and our community who honors veterans and who understands what this service before self actually means are at the heart of this positive change. I'm proud to serve in the Hawaii Army National Guard and proud to have deployed with our 29th Brigade Combat Team on 2 deployments, and to have served alongside so many quiet but courageous and honorable heroes, experiencing firsthand the depth and selflessness and commitment that our troops possess, not only for our country, but for each other. And that's where that unbreakable bond that I spoke of exists, that spans generations. We could not be the great country that we are today without your service and all that you've sacrificed. And that's why on this day, and on every day, we honor and pay tribute to all of our veterans, regardless of when or where you've served, because it's for the sacrifice and dedication of our nation's 23 million veterans and over 2 million service members who are still actively serving, both here at home and in places all around the world. Mahalo for your service. Know that your selflessness, your dedication, and your commitment will never be forgotten. As your community, we must continue our fight to empower and honor you, the few who gave all that you could, often at a great cost. You stood up, put yourself on the line for our country, and please know now that we, your nation, stands with you. Thank you very much. Aloha.